Hello, everyone. It is Thursday, the 9th of May, 2024, and interesting developments yesterday. So many interesting developments, and a lot of research that I had to do. So much reading. ATIs, 165 pages, 145 pages, 63 pages, 93 pages. Just so much reading, and then of course I was looking at live feeds and videos from people that I like to monitor and get information from, and I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But so last night, for example, I was watching Zachary Hubbard live, and I don't know why, and he was talking when I popped in. He was talking about 201, 102, and the connections to NASA, the Illuminati, and space stuff, and so I commented a couple of times about the about Pierre Elliott Trudeau and having the astronauts or the astronauts land in Canada on the 2nd and 3rd of December of 1969, a few months after the alleged moon landings, which again I have I've proven. Look at my other videos. I've proven that was a hoax, and I laughed because it's uncomfortable. Because even when people say that now, they still get people that are looking at them as if they're crazy, despite the fact that there's so much evidence out there now that it would literally just mean that you would know. And I mean, no offense, a little bit of laziness, a little bit of ego, if you're not taking a look at things like American Moon, for example, or Bert or Brett Sibrel. He's used both first names. That's why I say it like that. And see what they are saying and what they're sharing, because they're giving witness accounts, they're giving footage from like staged scenes, they're giving irrefutable evidence, and then the science behind it as well is just something that is irrefutable. But you have to look at it. But the people who are slamming the moon landings, and the people, the people who are slamming the people that are calling out the hoax moon landings and this not being a wet globular rock whirling through space, people like Zach Hubbard, again, yesterday even, giving his interpretation of flat earthers. Play it out, not the whole thing, but he starts a few minutes after this. But the thing is, it's a shame because he has so much good information regarding gematria and numbers and dates, and but he gets so wrapped up in trying to just insult everyone, right? So like that's kind of like his game too with his videos. Again, he has some good content, but there are better than him as well with gematria and numbers. Like he sometimes is more well-rounded with some of the stuff that he brings to the table every few months. Like there's tidbits of information that you can get that he gets from other people, like Woo's News, for example. I got that from him, and so there's things like that. So that's why I still look at his channel. And then with the number connections, the date connections, that's something that I'm very interested in as well. And I think that I'm just as good or better. And I know that's a bold statement, but I've also proven it on my videos and connections I've made. And anyway, so giving him that date is because he's writing a book and he's talking about 201 and 102 and NASA and all of this stuff, government agencies, and he brings in that number a lot. And I'm like, well, you're missing this one, because the connection to the astronauts coming to Canada to meet with the Prime Minister at the time, which is Justin Trudeau's father. At the time was Pierre Elliott Trudeau. And they met in Ottawa and met him in Parliament on Ottawa, the capital of Canada, on the 2nd of December. And in some occult groups or in some cultures, April is seen, or sorry, March 20th is seen as the start of the new year during the spring equinox when the sun enters Aries. And so they can, and also with Deca, December is often correlated as the 10th month, not just the 12th as we have it in our Julian calendar systems, but if you classify the spring equinox as being the start of the new year, then December would be the 10th month. And so you've got that 10/2 or that 2/10. And so you've got that 102, 201 with that as well. And could he use that information? Yes, he could, but he's getting it from a flat earther. And so even though I put it on his fucking page and stuff like that repeatedly, and he'll likely use it now because of someone like me pointing it out, he's still going to slam us for other facts that we bring to the table.
Is in relation to our tilt in orbit
Oh, here we go. So maybe he was a little bit older. Wait.
Quiz. Anyway, he calls me up at the end of the day. He's like, it's so pathetic. What this is a level of trolling that is acceptable to me. That's a great little screenshot they made right there. I'd encourage everybody to share that all over the place. Say, what are the odds that all these things happen on 5/7? And again, you can do this day after day, right? These are things we talked about yesterday. But anyway, here's the thing I wanted to bring up. Give me a second to pull this up real quick.
So that's me saying in the comment as well, so you can see it here. 201, 102. I say it there, and then I go back down. So unless it was deleted, I did say it again. But you see it there. And then I did another comment here, but I'll wait for that. So this is going to run for a while, like at least 10 minutes.
Let me see. All right. So you guys might know the flat earther Jeranism, right? He's actually, I'm not crazy about Jeranism, but
and by the way, his name is Jeran. So even though you've met him in 2016, you should probably start, better than that.
He did help me get that show on TFR that we had for all these years until the network essentially
he helped you.
Essentially just went under. But something I can't remember what year it was. The most annoying thing that Jeranism, okay, you see how Jeranism just uploaded this video yesterday? It says, well-researched tribe troll Zachary Hubbard, top of his class, knows Earth is a globe. Schools me. Okay, now I'll say well played because this is a good. He's uploaded this video like 5 different times over the last 8 years because I'm pretty sure.
I would too.
Sure, this is from 2016 if I'm not mistaken. But let me explain to you what happened that day, and realize this is a 4-minute and some second soundbite of a 3-hour interview. So it's like, hey, Jeranism, how come you also took down the whole thing, but then only kept this audio clip?
Oh my God.
He got rid of the rest of it because he looked like a dumbass through the whole thing, except for in this part. This is the part where he wins because I screwed up. But the thing is, okay,
I'm gonna have to pull that up.
Really, just re-uploading this all these years later. Again, it's so pathetic. What this represents is what's wrong with the world. So here's what I want to say about just Jeranism uploading this. By the way, let me set up what happened. So if you guys remember, like back in, just like since forever, I've always worked on the grind all around the clock. But I remember that the day he called me up, it was like a grindier day than normal. Like probably put out 7 videos that day at least. Do a lot of like videos that were between 15 and 30 minutes. And I just get them all out in a day rather than do live streams. Because I think that was before YouTube had live streaming.
Excuse.
Anyway, he calls me up at the end of the day. He's like, hey, want to do an interview in like 30 minutes, an hour? He said, I just want to have a friendly conversation about why you won't get on board with flat Earth. And
I'm trying to help you.
And I said, I guess. And he goes, okay, yeah, don't do any research. He says it's going to be a laid-back conversation, just like getting the gist of why you won't get on board with flat Earth.
Jeran would never say that. I know Jeran. I've never met him in person, but we're also, we communicate. I've been on a show, multiple, and he's been on my show. And he would never say that. Jeran has always said, do your own research. And then he gives you groundbreaking fucking information and gets you on your trails and stuff like that. But Jeran would never say that. So this is already, and it annoys me because again, I really liked Zach in the beginning. I did. And then he just flipped.
So anyway. Then the interview starts later that night and it's already pretty late in the day.
Because now he's not even just pushing incorrect information, but he's now, again, he's being a huge troll. Anyway, you're going to hear, I'm being redundant, but you'll just hear for yourself.
But him and his wife, if you know Jeranism, he also has his wife. They're just sitting there grilling me, like trying to quiz me on every last thing about the Earth and space. And so I'm like answering like 50 questions. Here we are at question 51. I'm just getting annoyed at this point because I'm like, okay, is this guy just a troll? I mean, he told me not to study or anything. We're just going to have a relaxed conversation about why I won't get into flat Earth. But now here I am on the air. I think I was on his TFR episode.
You know what? I wasn't there, so I can't say that he would never say that. But I just, like, from what I know of Jeran, it's not something that I conceive. But again, this was years ago. It could have. So it's not fair for me to just dismiss it if I don't have proof. So I will say that I wasn't there.
And he's just quiz. Like, do you know this? Do you know this? Do you know this? And I was answering all the questions. But at this point, this 4-minute segment of like a 3-hour interview, I got it wrong. I was wrong about the distance. Well, I wasn't all the way wrong, but he's asking me about why the North Star doesn't move in relation, why all the other stars spin around us, but the North Star stays relatively in the same spot. And I was answering to him, and I said, it's have to do with the distance and how great the distance is away. That is part of it. The distance does matter, but the main thing is where its position is in relation to our tilt and orbit. At least so we're told in the science world. But anyway, he loves to play this clip because I answered it wrong. And it's just like, I mean, again, I haven't seen him upload this for like 4 years, but I noticed today I have all these people leaving comments like, oh, Jeranism owned you in the debate. And I was like, what the hell are all these comments today? Jeranism owned me in the debate. I haven't like talked to this guy since 2016. But then I see that, okay, he uploaded the same clip from back then. Jeranism, listen. That same conversation I was making to you, the point back then about flat Earth, first of all, is arguing about the shape of the Earth rather than pointing out what's going on Earth, who's running the show. Jeranism, let's have a debate about your research and what it's amounted to. He's been doing this since 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. Or 2016 at least. I'm pretty sure our conversation was from 2016. It might have been 2017, somewhere around there. It was a long time ago. But again, let's have a conversation about what your work has done to help anything on Earth. And again, you could make the argument like, well, Zach, has your work changed the world? Listen, had my work been pushed and made viral by Google in the summer of 2015, like Flat Earth was in a total psyop fashion, yeah, the world might have changed because my work actually teaches people a lot, helps them break out of the matrix.
So dates that you put together, that a lot of people put together, more than flat earthers. So there's more of you than flat earthers. And flat earthers know a lot of your stuff as well and talk about and discuss. And he has woken up more people with this like debunking the globe than this is arguably the biggest awakening. And so for Zachary Hubbard to even go there, that's why I'm stopping it here. I'm like, I'm just, this is what I mean. Like, to say that the ego and the narcissism in that statement about like, what have you done to wake people up in the matrix? Are you fucking kidding me? What have you done? You're actually keeping people further in it with your fucking nonsense and your laziness, and you're not even looking at the works of the greats like Jeran and I have done. Like I've showed literature from Einstein, dissertations from Stephen Hawking, Copernicus, Pythagoras, you name it. Like, these people have been debunked even live on my fucking show, Zach. But anyways, I'm going to carry on with this. And Jeran, his level of intellect regarding what he's talking about, please. You're not even on the same level as Jeran, and you would be just so fucking lucky to learn from him. But again, you've had that opportunity for years now, and look what you've done with it. You've shit on it. Well done.
Not get taken by the election, not get taken by the sports game. See what's coming before it happens. There's so many benefits to my work. Like, literally right now,
he's talking about sports games, and he doesn't even fucking know that sports games are rigged yet. Like,
world got behind my work. If there were as many flat earthers as there were people behind my work, yeah, the world probably actually would be changing. The reason there's more people into flat earth than my work is because people's IQs are really low. Flat earth is a low IQ movement. And that's why flat earthers get mad, because I say that, but it's true. I mean, you just look at the flat earth community, not very sharp tools. Jeranism, send the other 3 hours of our debate, and let's see how you looked in the other 3 hours, besides the 4 minutes where I screwed up. Again, it's just, and this is why I don't respect the flat earth community either, because I remember how it was when it came here. It's just a bunch of little trolls attacking you in your comments because you didn't agree that the earth was flat. I wasn't even mean to flat earthers at first, but it's just getting trolled by like a pack of literal, like, again, I don't want to say short bus riders. I really feel like it's funny. The way the world actually should be is the kids on the short bus should be the intelligent group of people. Because, like in a high school, there might be 2,000 kids there, but there's probably only 10 whose brains are worth a shit. They should be on the short bus like, oh, damn, there's the pack of people who know what's up. And then everybody else should be getting hoarded in on the big buses for the tards. And anyway, you see, like, if you had to break up the truth community, there's only like a much smaller amount that ever gotten behind my work, even though it's probably the most revolutionary thing there ever was in the truth community versus flat earth, which is a total joke of a psyop. And Jeranism, I mean, seriously, why not upload the clip from the movie that you're in where you're running some...
So the reason why Jeran even put that clip up again is because Zachary was on Melodome. I don't even know what that is, but he was on Melodome talking shit again about flat earthers. And so what do people like us do? Like what I'm doing now, when people start talking shit and trolling us, then of course we're just going to we're going to expose it or whatever you want to call it. Of course we are. And yeah, and he makes $30,000 on Patreon. Like, fuck, like, Zach, come on. What are you doing?
Experiment and you say, like, if this doesn't work, it proves that the earth is not flat, and then your experiment doesn't work. But here we are 5 years later, we're still running the scam on the tards that I guess put money in your pockets because you claim the earth is flat, when again
yeah, we don't make money, and he's making $30,000 a year on Patreon. Think about it.
So yeah, I don't want to get into debate about the shape of the earth because it's stupid. It's pointless.
Just like Professor Dave, just like people that are put to the top of the algorithms.
Like flat earthers are a religion. They don't need any evidence. Again, you ask them a simple question: how can the sun rise due east no matter where you are in the world, and set due west no matter where you are in the world, if it's your flat earth map with a sky lamp going above? I mean, if it was like that, then depending on where you were in the world, the sun would be rising in different directions, setting in different directions. It wouldn't be due east rise, due west set. I mean, that just wouldn't happen on a flat earth. And again, there's a million things that don't make any sense about the flat earth model. That's why it's embarrassing that people fall for it. And it's a sign of low IQ and lack of understanding and lack of intelligence. And yeah, I might have been wrong in this moment, but you know what else? When I was wrong, did I not the very next day put out a video showing where I was wrong and explaining what I should have said? So to bring this up all these years later, Jeranism, let's have a conversation. Your work does what for the world? Proves what about the world? Shows what about the world? What does your work do? Literally. What does Flat Earth do besides make a group of people who are looking in? See, that's the thing what that Flat Earth does that people don't get it. It discredits you from humanity. Because most people are not dumb enough to think the earth's flat. Now, a lot of these indoctrinated people who don't question anything, they're not stupid, though. But they know that somebody who comes at them and tells them the earth's flat, they're not going to listen to anything they have to say. Earth's flat? Are you a joke? Are you auditioning for Batman? No, you guys, flat earth is a total psyop, like I've said. I mean, you look at the people who made the flat earth thing famous. ODD reality. A rapist. Okay, a rapist. Retard from Boston. He wasn't really the initial flat earth pusher, but he went from having 10.
Like he's I'll right back. First of all, look at the leaders now in politically speaking that are in all levels of government and all levels of different corporations and institutions and stuff like that. So like, I don't understand how someone can use one example of one person out of millions of people to try to slam something, because again, we're not doing that either. Like it's just ridiculous. Like I'm not slamming. Well, I mean, I do make fun of Neil deGrasse Tyson, but specifically for his what he says and alleges, and it's debunking the science. Do I know some shitty stuff that this guy's possibly done behind closed doors? Yeah, I have heard and stuff like on lower means and stuff like that. But again, these are all alleged. There's nothing proven, and so I don't speak of it, right? And so. Anyway, this guy is like honestly like more painful to watch like as the weeks progress, and I think it's because he's spiraling.
1,000 subs, which he didn't even deserve, to having 500,000 once he got into flat Earth and Jesus. All he had to claim was he was about Jesus and flat Earth, and then he figured out how to ride a financial wave to buy a gazillion gallons of gas so we could just keep driving back and forth across the nation in the FJ. It's just, I mean, so yeah, I'm never going to be nice to the flat earth community because it needs to go. Like I say what I say because you guys really.
I'm never going to be nice to the flat earth community because they need to go. It needs to go. Like, how crazy is that? How crazy is that? So even though I'm super nice because like I want to get truth out there and information out there and make connections, I give him like priceless information that he would need for his book, and I'm doing that, and I did this even after like he's slamming me and people I know, and he's wrong. He is, in this case, he's wrong.
You need to pull your head out of your ass and understand it's total bullshit. Again, until you can explain how everywhere on Earth the sun rises due east and sets due west, which is
when the sun rises due east and sets due west. He just said that it was at 57:47 or whatever it was.
a fact.
It's a fact.
Stop saying they're not stupid though, but they know that somebody who comes at them and tells them the Earth's flat, they're not going to listen to anything they have to say. Earth's flat? Are you a joke? Are you auditioning for Batman?
No, I'm not. Nope.
No, you guys, flat Earth is a total psyop. Like I've said, I mean, you look at the people who made the flat Earth thing famous. ODD reality, a rapist. Okay, a rapist. A retard from Boston. He wasn't really the initial flat Earth pusher, but he went from having 10,000 subs, which he didn't even deserve, to having 500,000 once he got into flat Earth and Jesus. All he had to claim was he was about Jesus and flat Earth, and then he figured out how to ride a
I backed it up too much. I'm sorry.
Financial wave to buy a gazillion gallons of gas so he could just keep driving back and forth across the nation in the FJ. It's just, I mean, so yeah, I'm never going to be nice to the flat Earth community because it needs to go. Like I say what I say because you guys really need to pull your head out of your ass and understand it's total bullshit.
Yeah, we do.
Again, until you can explain how everywhere on Earth the sun rises due east and sets due west, which is a fact, stop saying the Earth is flat because you can't ever figure out on your flat Earth model how that's even possible. You guys have to be like, well, maybe it's like the Truman Show and some. I mean, you really think that somebody built a big man-made dome over us? We are being controlled by wicked men, but they didn't build a.
Like, none of what he fucking said made any sense. None of it, and that also goes to show that he doesn't know our model. And so I said, Zach, you literally embarrassed yourself at the 5745-ish period. If you actually read the works of Pythagoras, Copernicus, and other alleged astronomers, it's the Earth spinning from west to east, the sun not moving at all. Yet, yes, you are correct. The sun does travel from east to west above us, more local and within the dome, like the other luminaries. The Earth is also stationary. It is a shame that you pretend to be a truth seeker. It is a shame. And so he doesn't even understand his own fucking model. And that's why when I share with people like the works of Copernicus and Pythagoras, like even the Earth curve calculations as well as their thoughts and theories on the sun and the luminaries and the Earth and things like that, people are like, no. And I'm like, yeah. When did you actually fucking read their dissertations or their theories for yourself and not just the Wikipedia page? I'm talking about going in and actually looking at them. And so I'm going to give you an example. And I'm new to I guess this new channel, but only because my other one got shut down on me. But I don't know if I shut them down, but I was looking at the greats. So for this is Einstein's theory of gravitation. And so people are telling me I have no fucking idea what I'm talking about when I'm actually taking literal dissertations and theories from actual scientists, groundbreaking scientists, and I'm going through it. And I've made so many notes over the years, and people are trying to tell me that I'm a fucking idiot or I don't even know like what this fucking idiot says. I'm gonna just take my photo out of this. And so this I just want to see if you can see the next pop up. Yeah, okay, you can. So this, for example, is the PhD dissertation from Stephen Hawking, 1966. And this is literally it. Photos taken of it and PDF submitted. 119 pages. Interesting that it's 119, 9/11. I look at the pages as well. And so people that are talking to me like that flat earthers are fucking stupid. Jeran's looked at this stuff as well. Jeran's looked at Einstein's work and Copernicus, and I'll see if I can bring up Copernicus again because yeah, people are so presumptuous. And I've already done a live on this, and this is Nicholas Copernicus on the revolutions. And so, Zachary Hubbard, have you fucking read this either? Have you read what I've just shared? And so I've talked about his beliefs on spheres and circles and the sun and the other luminaries, and he just makes it so, there's so many areas in here where I call it blatant nonsensical theories that he even says are theories. And yeah, and he's talking about circles a lot and trying to justify a globular earth based on the circular paths of the luminaries above us. And even with Pythagoras. So let me see if I can just does he even know the earth curve calculations directly, specifically from Pythagoras, which is what made people believe the earth was a globe to begin with. And but before that, for thousands of years, or whenever the dawn of time was, people from countless advanced civilizations, older civilizations, the descriptions and the hieroglyphs and the petroglyphs and the designs and the drawings, whatever that they had, were all regarding some kind of a contained environment, some kind of an electromagnetic reality, possibly, in my opinion, being projected via toroidal fields and hyperboloids, and yeah, but being projected on a flat plane of inertia. And so even with and again, this is not a video on flat Earth at all, or debunking the globe. That's the thing. It's debunking the globe. And so if you look here, it's based on an approximate radius of the Earth being 3,959 miles, approximately. So we'll just round up. So approximately 4,000 miles radius, approximately 8,000 miles diameter. And that's where we're getting the earth curve calculation, which breaks down to 8 inches per mile squared. And so if you don't want to trust that, and also you can do this based on elevation as well. So 8 inches per mile squared. And then you factor in elevation if you're not at ground level or sea level. And that's also, and then arcangles are also have also been solved by each degree. And so there's also people like Craig and Ozian and MC Toon that's been on Jeran that have also lied about all that stuff. And it's because they don't know what they're talking about. So you can find arc angles. You can actually find distances and heights of objects based on arc angle and distance from the object when you're looking at the top. And then just by knowing the distance and then the arc angle of your eyesight, line of sight, when you're looking at the top of the object, then you want to get a measurement up. But anyway, so you've got it broken down by miles, by feet, by inches, drop by geometric construction, right? So this drop they're talking about, you would need some kind of a physical geographic horizon in order to have that downward slope, in order to create the shape of this globe, and at 3 miles, just at 3 miles, there would be this is Pythagoras that said this. There would be 6 feet of alleged curvature beyond hiding an object or obscuring an object from view, and we have debunked this well beyond that, especially with infrared cameras, where people are seeing like it's flat at hundreds of miles, and this is confirmed in so many tests. You can confirm this for yourself, and yeah. And I've also talked about this as well. So this is not my calculations. This is not anyone from the flat earth community that put this together. This was, if he even existed, Pythagoras, who also has a very similar backstory to people like Mithras and Dionysus and Horus and Jesus Christ and many other people in history. And again, and that's even if they existed. I do believe that Jesus Christ and these beings are possible representations of the sun and its path through the zodiacal belt on a daily and annual basis. And the moon too as well. And the other luminaries. And even with the conservation of angular momentum, the fact that there are luminaries, these wandering stars, the 7 original planets that actually there's retrograde and movement that is not just in like one direction spinning, which would be needed when you have that force, like the Big Bang and things like that, stopping and then moving in the other direction. And this would be impossible. It's just imagine some kind of a funnel, spinning, and then without any type of force to counteract that spin, it starts stopping or moving in the other direction. Think about it. And even with the inverse square law and the sun's light radiating rays, like and how they hit the earth. This is also, anyway, I could go, this is what I mean. Like, I could blow this guy's fucking theories out of it. Like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm talking about Zachary. And the fact that he calls people like me pseudoscientists or fucking whatever, all these other names, it's just, it's unfortunate because he has a large viewing. He has more than me and many others that try to share this information because we are actually getting censored, dummy. I've had so many accounts deleted on me, and it's a lot of it has to do with me debunking the globe theory. And then even LinkedIn accounts and things like that. So this guy with $30,000 a month on Patreon, so like likely a lot more on not likely a lot more, but like definitely getting money from other channels. This guy, like the nerve. Again, he's lying to people.
The big dome over us. Again, coming up with these crazy explanations.
And electromagnetic fields are to me what contains this environment, and countless civilizations throughout history have thought the same and have given like very similar descriptions, and it's only NASA that seems to be the ones that provide a different model. So for example, I don't know if you can see that, but these are all different diagrams of advanced civilizations from the past, and they're with this dome that they're showing. It's to show this this contained environment. It's to describe that there's some kind of a like a barrier that we can't leave. And so this is what we're perceiving on this multidimensional flat earth plane, but yeah, we don't know what is beyond this. Like we are being connected to this cosmos or this universe via our mind or our central nervous system that connects this avatar to our higher level consciousness being that's possibly playing this game for us, or at least assisting us and facilitating us through this this matrix or this game, whatever this is, this simulation. But again, this is an electromagnetic reality. It projects the visible and non-visible light spectrum is what creates this game as well. How we experience it at varying densities, and just like Walter Russell and the greats like him said, it's light in motion, and it's the visible and non-visible light spectrum, and that interaction. It's the electromagnetism that allows us to experience and perceive the light spectrum, and vice versa. So it's all connected, and even with sonoluminescence, the star in a jar, you need to have degassed elements, but also with some kind of a frequency, a very specific frequency that interacts with the beaker or that glass container with these degassed elements, and it's only with that interaction that that a bubble, or what do you want to call it, or a star is created and then expands and can possibly get brighter, which is also connected to or correlated with hot and cold fusion. Anyway, I can go on all these tangents, but and the elements are very much needed in order to impact the conductivity of these electrical and magnetic charges. And we have AC and DC, we have alternating current, and we have direct current. And so even yesterday when I was watching the Flat Earth debate with Craig and MC Toon and Sovereign Soulman Unchained, Dave and Flatzoid, they keep on, like I think it was MC Toon, he's bringing Mercury into the for his examples for gravity when Mercury at room temperature and it has different degrees of magnetism based on how it's being activated. And so at room temperature, there is a weak magnetic charge, but there's a magnetic charge. So the more there is, the more of a magnetic charge. And you can also increase the magnetic component or capabilities of Mercury by putting it in a magnetic field. So just even with that, just playing with it with electricity and magnetism also can strengthen it. And so this is what I'm talking about. There are people that are utilizing elements in these examples of these of how things like get pulled together, And it's frustrating because they're utilizing elements, I guess, that has a magnetic component and aspect to it, element to it, to varying degrees, and so it's dishonest. I don't know if they're necessarily aware of it, because when we talk about the laws of physics, the way they discuss the energies and the forces, to me, it used to be better than what it is now. I think that we've misinterpreted it now. I don't know if it's for a reason or not, but people like Walter Russell and the greats like him discuss the forces being electricity and magnetism. So one force experiencing itself dualistically via electricity and magnetism. One causes gravitational energy, one causes radiating energy, electrical energy, magnetic energy. But again, that interplay of electricity and magnetism together is what facilitates this. And I just went on a fucking tangent and I didn't go back to my train of thought. Elements matter. Oh yeah, and so they're saying that there's gravity, electrostatics, and then weak and strong nuclear forces. But the nuclear forces, to me, are it's explaining away magnetism, right? So, and then electrostatics is explaining other forces at play that interacts with the energy. That it's interacting with. I guess it's really, really hard to explain these things, but it's electricity and magnetism, in my humble opinion. And then we can further expand on that as well with how these interplay with each other or interact with each other. And I think that that's what we should be doing. I don't know why we're not doing that when there's magnetrons all over the world, and cathodes and anodes, and these big these big buildings or like these I don't know, we would call it infrastructure all over the world that shows that even within the columns, these are energy harnessing devices, and each column and material or element that's utilized in these structures, it has like a different role in order to harness that energy in a very efficient way, without using things like electricity, using ground wires and things like that, because this is causing it causes more pollution, it causes more heat, it does cause inflammatory cells, not only in humans but animals and trees in the soil and stuff like that as well. So we need to minimize that. And so even with what we're seeing now with like these power outages and things like that, this has also a lot to do with we're surging the grid, and we're going to be further impacted by heating events if we don't manage that and look more at magnetism like we used to. I'm going on these tangents, but Zach, come on. It would just be nice if you and I've offered to go on his show. I've called in and talked about like the sun's path and stuff, and that wasn't anything that piqued his interest. Obviously, I didn't even know he had been on Jeran before, so I wouldn't have even bothered, to be honest with you, if I had known that, but I didn't. Because again, I don't know everything, because I'm not looking at everything, so I wouldn't have even looked I wouldn't have even thought that he would have went on Jeran.
Reasons for why you can't see the the same set of stars in the northern and southern hemisphere. Why are you trying to come up with crazy explanations to explain away things that don't make sense on a flat earth map?
So he doesn't know the map.
I mean, some of you guys are spinning your tires for 8 years, making no advancements in any of your arguments.
We've talked about the North Pole and the luminaries and the constellations traveling in perfect symmetry for their role, or their flight path every single day, every single year, and we can map out every freaking where they're going to be every single night, every single year, and we know the full moon periods, we know the new moon periods, we know when the sun enters the zodiacal belt, again, not just on a daily basis, but on an annual basis. That's why we know our sun signs, our moon signs, our ascending signs and stuff like that. It's based on a stationary Earth with these luminaries and wandering stars within this contained environment. That's what's moving above us. It's not us moving, and that's why they even allege that the constellations and the stars are what is it, like millions of friggin' miles away and stuff like that. Again, it's impossible, and the fact that it's that, it means that they're also, and by the way, they're also not within our solar system, just to be clear. And so this is also the impossibility. Like, how would we see these alleged luminaries again with precision every single night and every single year if they're not even within our orbitable path, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And so even within a 6-month period, they would be long gone, and not predictable. But Zachary would know that, right? Because he's so fucking smart. So like, I'm gonna explain it away, and but explain how you know your sun sign and your moon sign and all of that stuff, and explain how every single day the sun appears, the apparent flight path, right? Because I've also read the older astronomy and astrological works from actual astronomers and scientists from the past. And it was really hard to get access to this information, and reading too about how they describe away actual visual, measurable, repeatable, observable data. I see the sun entering my line of sight, traveling on average 50 degrees every hour through the zodiacal belt. Actually, I'll go and maybe showing a diagram. And again, I'm sorry if I'm being redundant, because I've already talked about this so many times. Nope, not that one. Hold up. No, where's that? Oh, wrong one. Okay. So the divine clock that the sun passes through, and the other luminaries as well, or sorry, not the other luminaries, the other wandering stars as well, is precise. So I can't see my screen or anything like that, but so picture this to be a 24-hour clock, or a regular clock, a kitchen clock. For some reason, like a lot of clocks are 12-hour clocks, I use a 24-hour clock. This would be the 0/24 hour. This would be the 12. And if you map out where the like the sun's path, or you could do it, I want to make this easier. What people allege is that the sun, sorry, what people claim, which I don't believe, is that it's the Earth that travels from west to east. Okay, and that's why they're saying that we move in this direction, right? They're saying that this is the spin, even though how we see the sun's movement, it travels from east to west. So actually, it's the sun traveling in this direction. So what we're calling counterclockwise every single friggin' day, and we are not moving. And I can show government documents like I've done before that says that this is a flat, stationary plane, and this is using advanced mathematics calculations. It's very specific that they say that, and so I'm going off of what the sun's apparent path is when we observe it in the sky, and this is how we map out how people's and again, this is precise not only but during the day. So this is a daily clock, but this is also an annual clock as well. Just like there's 360 degrees in a circle. Yes, with the Earth, we have 365 days of a year, unless it's a leap year, and but yeah, and also with on a leap year, the 25th of December being the 360th day of the year. But anyways, I'm going on all these tangents. So for the sun, for example, this would be considered to be midnight. So the sun would not be in our view in where I am right now in Ottawa, Ontario, at midnight. And but traveling from east to west, from midnight, it would be in Capricorn. And like at this, it would be looking to be like going through, crossing in front of Saturn, and it travels 15 degrees every hour, 30 degrees, or through a complete zodiacal sign every 2 hours. So you've got midnight, and then you'd be going backwards if you look at a clock that we have. So it would be 2300 hours, 2200 hours, or 10 p.m. And then you'd have 9 p.m., 8 p.m. No, I'm doing this wrong. Because usually I'm just going to start in the morning. Okay, so in the morning, when we're waking up at around 6 a.m., the sun is it generally rises from east to west. But there is again, and this is predictable every single year. There are times throughout the year based on the seasons, because it's on a different ring. Like it travels through the Tropic of Cancer, then the equatorial ring, and then the Tropic of Capricorn. So when it does that, how it comes, how we see it entering our line of sight, it can be like east, and then sometimes it's a little bit east southeast, and then it's and so, but never too much beyond. It's that eastward path as we visualize it. And then even when it sets, it's not it's in the west, but sometimes it's the west northwest, west southwest. And so this is just based on the seasons as well, and that circular path that it takes, and where it has like different speeds at the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn as well. But anyways, and so you're waking up in the morning, the sun is entering your line of sight, which I believe to be within this contained environment, much closer and much smaller, approximately the same size as the moon as we see it, and then above us. And then so from 6 a.m. and then 7 a.m., 8 a.m., it's leaving Aries and it goes into Taurus, or as it sees, like you see it as it goes through Taurus, and it's getting higher in the sky as we see it. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is 12 p.m. So this is generally speaking where we see like the sun at its highest point in the sky, where it's like the hottest. And again, this depends on the season as well, and where you are in the world. But in Ottawa, like this is generally where the sun is at its highest point. When we have the longer days and shorter nights, it rises later in the day, and it stays there later, and that's because it's following a slower path, because it's on the Tropic of Cancer circle. It's a slower circle. So to average out that 24-hour clock, it would need to travel slower in order to get that average out. And so then it actually appears to move faster, and it does move faster to get that average of 24 hours within that day period when it's on the Tropic of Capricorn. But anyway, this is a lot of information. And so you go from 12 p.m., and then you've got 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., or 1800 hours. Again, this is the sun's apparent path in the sky, and that's how I see it, though, every single friggin' day and every single year. It enters into Libra, and that's usually when the sun is setting for the day, right? Where we're seeing it like being moved like away from my line of sight, and then it's heading towards like its path, like, traveling from east to west. And so 6 p.m., 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 p.m. or 2400 hours. And so we should be technically, how I would see it, what we call clockwise should actually be counterclockwise, and it would make life a lot easier for a lot of people. And so if I want to use the same chart for the seasons, it would be the same thing. So the sun actually, if I start with Aries, on the 20th of March of every single year, the sun enters Aries, and we have equal amount of day and night. And so it's still on that same line. That's very interesting, right? And so, and then that's when we have, so equal amount of day and night. And when the sun is traveling at that equatorial ring, so it's like, it's literally in the middle of what we're calling North America and South America. Well, sorry, like the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere. That's what I meant to say. Not hemispheres, but sections of this possible circular friggin' cosmos, whatever you want to call it, like the downward view. We have the equatorial ring or circular path the sun follows. If you're looking downwards, it would be equal amount of day and night in places like, for example, Brazil and Australia, as well as in places like Canada. So I hope that makes sense. I think that does. And so we'll leave it at that for that. So the 20th of March of every single year, we have equal amount of day and night in what we call the northern and southern hemispheres. But again, they're different. I'll show you another visual of that as well. And then we start having, and then the sun travels from east to west, and it starts setting more east. And anyway, 20th of March, and then we start having longer days, shorter nights, hotter weather. And the sun starts moving like from traveling from its equatorial ring, and then it starts entering in the Tropic of Cancer. And look where Cancer is. It's literally entering that, and this is where you have like the highest. This is the 21st of June, and this is every single year. We have the summer solstice on the 21st of June every single year, and where we have in the what we call the northern hemisphere, but the northern section of the friggin' map. we have the longest days and the shortest nights. And this is where we have like the hottest period as well. And then from the highest point when the sun is at traveling the Tropic of Cancer, that's the highest it ever goes north latitude from the equatorial area, and this is very important as well, is 23.4 degrees. Degrees are measurable, and they're distances as well, right? So when you look at sine waves and amplitude versus degrees, it's also distance. And so 23.4 degrees is actually roughly 1,660 miles, right? So like that's the, again, this is apparent, but it's measurable, repeatable, observable data regarding the sun. And so that's as far as it goes from its path there. So like if it's 93 million miles away and all that alleged stuff, this makes no sense, and how it would drastically impact the seasons and daylight and night light just based on such a subtle, small shift. 1,660 miles. Think about that. That's as far north latitude that it goes from its equatorial path. And then so from that high point, then it starts going back towards the equatorial ring, right? And that's when we start going from the highest point, where we have like the hottest period, especially again in the northern area, or area closest to the North Pole. The sun starts its fall from the highest point, but it stays at the highest point for 3 days before it starts its descent. It does its friggin' daily path, but what I'm saying is but it rises at the highest point at the same spot, 23.4 degrees, for 3 days, and then on the 24th of June of every single year, it starts its fall. And so that's when we celebrate Saint John the Baptist Day. And this is where I'm saying that even within the Christian religion, I believe that this is an allegory that represents the sun's path through the zodiacal belt. And there's so many examples of this through countless other cultures and civilizations, with the significance of the 12 titans, the 12 astrological signs, Chinese signs and Babylonian and Egyptian. There's this redundancy, but anyway. And then we start having shorter days, longer nights, but still significantly more daylight. And then we get to the 22nd of September. Every single year, we have the fall or the autumn equinox, where we have again the equal amount of day and night. And this doesn't matter if you're in the closer to the North Pole, or if you're in the out areas. And again, I'll show you a map of that just to give you a rough idea. And that's where Jesus Christ is also at the Last Supper from Leonardo da Vinci. He's in between Virgo and Libra. And if you look at the 12 disciples or apostles, you have 6 on either side of him, and they represent not only the astrological signs, but also they're broken up by season as well, right? So Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, these are spring months. And then you've got Cancer, Leo, Virgo. These are, generally speaking, summer months. And then you've got the fall months here. And then so from the 22nd of September, we have equal amount of day and night again, but then the sun starts from that point of equilibrium it enters the fall period. And it starts getting where we have longer nights and shorter days in places like the northern hemisphere, whatever you want to call it, and then keeps on getting longer nights until you get to the 21st of December of every single year. We have the winter solstice, where the sun is traveling the Tropic of Capricorn ring, the outer ring, further away from people that are closer to the North Pole. Again, I'm going to show you that visual. And where we have the shortest amount of daylight and the longest night, especially in Ottawa, in Canada. And then the sun, as it rises and sets for 3 days, okay, it's at it's rising and setting at its lowest point in the sky, 23.4 degrees south latitude. Again, the 660 miles, whatever you want to call it, distance from its equatorial path. And then from the lowest point, so went basically dead, on the 25th of December of every single year, the sun is reborn, or starts its ascent from the lowest point until we circle back until we start the wheel again, right? And then we start from the winter solstice, and then we start having longer days again and winter months and stuff like that. But then we get back into the spring, where we start having equal amount of day and nights again. And that's why I think with daylight savings times, they do that to mess with us, because then you wouldn't see the this divine calendar, that it wouldn't be you wouldn't be registering that it's there, because even during the again with daylight savings time, it's around the equinox periods, but they do it like a week or so before or after, just to like throw you off a little bit. But you'll notice that like the sun should technically be seen as setting around 6 p.m. and then you'll see it setting like 7 p.m. and stuff like that during the equinox periods. But I'm like, it's actually, you're doing this wrong. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. And so I'm just going to pull up another image just to show you the Alex Gleason map. Again, this is not to be taken verbatim. It's just to give a visual. Because I keep on talking about different sections of the of this possible Earth plane, but it can be hard. Let me just see. I'm on the fly here. I don't even know how long I've been at this video. Where's the freaking Gleason map? Where is this? Interesting. Just search it. There we go. Okay. So this is the Gleason map. Again, this is not to be taken literally. This is just what could be the possible downward view. If you're above the friggin' Earth plane looking down, like from like a huge friggin' balloon or helicopter, like again, however high up. This has been described by countless civilizations and people of notoriety. And so this would be where the North Pole is. Possible center of this Earth plane, again, who knows? And then we have what we call the northern regions. This would be where the sun. So this is actually going to show you here. I just want to make sure I have it, because these friggin' rings, it's hard to. Tropic of, okay, there we go. So the Tropic of Cancer, this is what I'm talking about. So this is on every friggin' map that you look at anyways. The Tropic of Cancer is this path right here, this blue ring, okay? And this, when the sun is traveling on this path, it's a smaller circle. And again, in order to have that 24-hour period, it needs to move slower. And that's also why we have longer amount of day and night when it's traveling, this path, right? Look at this, it's closest as it will ever be on this ring to these areas here. And further away from like these areas, right? And so this is the equator, what we call the equator. And so this is when we have equal amount of day and night in both these sections, for example, what we're considered to be in the northern and southern hemisphere. But this is what I'm classifying that as. And the Tropic of Capricorn is this ring. It's a larger ring. And so the sun would have to speed up in order to average out that 24-hour clock. And that's why also like the sun travels approximately 1,000 miles per hour, observable, repeatable, measurable, and approximately 24,901 miles within a day. And that's also how we get the 24-hour clock. This is based on the sun's travel speed and distances and stuff like that, and its location. And you can, and also with this, I've also looked at flight paths based off of where the sun is appearing to be or traveling overhead of certain locations when it's the Tropic of Capricorn in what we consider in Canada our winter months, but traveling over certain areas or close to, right? So you can like just like how far is Kiribati to, for example, someplace in Australia where it's like close, like Victoria River or Adelaide, whatever. How far is Adelaide from, let's say, Cape Horn? How far on a globe Earth map versus this map? And then and you'll see that I've done the calculations, and for flight paths and travel distances and average speed of the aircraft being used, I was getting an average of, like, let's say 10,000 miles, which is when people allege that the Earth's diameter is 8,000 miles, and I'm alleging that the distances between these 2 points is possibly more than that. We really need to look at the fact that we are misinterpreting the sun's, again, flight path, travel path, and distances it goes, and we're mistaking that for the actual size of the Earth plane, right? So if the sun's path only oh yeah, and this is 23.4 degrees south latitude of the equator, and this Tropic of Cancer is 23.4 degrees north latitude of the equatorial ring. So there's so much more I can talk about, but I don't know if you saw that ever, but I want to show another video. By Jeran, since Zach got to talk a lot. I didn't get to see this video yet, but I'm actually interested in it.
It's a sphere.
How
you see a lot of flat earthers. The North Star proves the Earth is a sphere. You see a lot of flat earthers seem to have no knowledge about the North Star. They don't understand that it's way, way further away than all the other stars. That's why it appears to never move in the sky, because it's so distant. That's what we're told.
You're so off. I hope you know how bad you're completely wrong about that. What do you mean?
How am I completely wrong about that?
Because
that's mathematics.
What do you mean it's mathematics? So the other stars that do circles in the skies has something to do with their distance from the Earth?
Absolutely.
Oh boy.
Dude, I don't understand why that's funny. The North Star is supposed to be way further away than all those other stars.
The star is between 400 and 500 light years away. That it's not far at all compared to every other star. The stars are all such equal distances away from the Earth. Not equal. I'm saying they are all so incredibly far that they all act identical. That's why we see star circles, because even though one might be 100 light years and the other one might be 4,000 light years, even though that's a couple 100 trillion miles difference, they do the exact same thing. The reason the North Star stays where it is because it's directly aligned with the axis of the Earth. That's the reason why it stays where it is. Has nothing to do with its distance. It's not even
according to the model, anyways.
Yeah, according to the model. And this is why I hate explaining the globe.
Look, so I just have to say something. The average star, in terms of science, this is scientific understanding. The average star is 4.3 light years from the Earth. This is the scientific knowledge. I'm just saying this is what's out there, and everyone can verify this.
Star.
The average star is 4.3 light years away. The North Star is said to be 433.8 light years away. That's over 100 times further away. So, Jeran, and this is what I mean with the flat Earth community, because all night you've been saying I'm not researched. Look, I'm very well researched in a way, because I studied this stuff in school. I was always top of my class journalism. I'm not just any.
I'm trying to
look
wrong.
The North Star is 100 times further away than the average star. So you can't just say it's just like all the other ones, because it's not true.
What you're saying is completely false, Zach. The closest star to us is 4 light years away. The closest star. Okay, so when you say the average star is a couple thousand light years, could be 1 million light years. What stars are you considering when you're taking an average? You're talking about all the stars? That doesn't make any sense. Some stars are billions of light years
further away.
Yes.
Yeah, some stars are billions of light years away. What do you mean?
Yep.
The North Star is special. It's a lot more distant than the majority of stars in the sky. Anyone can look this up. Look, if you're in the flat Earth and you're interested into this debate right now, look it up after Jeran and I are done talking.
The furthest star is known, according to the model, is 13.3 billion light years away. So
light
that's
years.
All right, so take an average. The average isn't going to come out to 4.
The North Star you said is how many, babe? How many million?
It's between
light
400
years?
And 500.
But millions. So
no. The North Star is 400 or 500 light years away.
Okay, so that's.
But that's not an average. That is, it's a very.
The North Star is also. I forget what they call it in space. It's in a.
Again, I could be wrong. I'll just share the screen. People can. The jury's out on this, but. Just from a few things that I've looked at, a light year is the distance a beam of light travels in a single Earth year, which equates to approximately 6 trillion miles. So 9.7 trillion kilometers. So even with this nonsensical discussions about light years and it's relatively close, 23 light years away, that's fucking far. Like this is what I mean. People I wish that Zach would do fucking better. And I mean, no offense if he's watching this. Actually, no, I mean offense. I don't mean offense, but I mean, take offense if you want to, because your lazy work is literally ruining science because you do have a large viewing. You do have, people that troll us because of like the videos that you share and stuff, and you're coming from I just can't, right? Think about it, guys and girls. Yeah, well researched. This fucking guy, man.
Special spot too, supposedly right above the North Pole. But the fact that it is so distant is the reason it appears to never move in the sky. And the point is I hear a lot of flat Earth channels saying that the North Star never moves, and that is proof that we're stationary. But if you look at the mathematics of how far away it is, it's explained why it is what it is. And there's a reason sailors have used it for 1,000 years and probably longer than that to sail the oceans.
No.
You're basically wrecking your channel right now, because this is going to be repeated over and over again. You're going to get shown that you had no clue what you're talking about. So I'm just telling you, I would stop talking about that. Look up the things you're saying first.
Don't look up and don't look up things that support what you were taught in school, because that's what.
Well, even he's not talking about anything that's close to being correct. The North Star being at the center and not moving has absolutely zero to do with its distance from Earth. Nothing.
It's because we're tilted and spinning.
It's because we're tilted and the axis of the Earth is pointed at the North Star. It wouldn't matter if it was the closest star or the furthest star. It would still be at that spot and not move. It has nothing to do with its distance. And it's actually on a lower end. It's actually on the.
It has everything to do with its distance, because that's how perspective works. It's like if you're standing in front of a tree and you take a step to the right, it looks like the tree. Now you're not looking at the tree anymore. But if you're a great distance away and you take a step to the right, the tree's still right in front of you.
Yeah, parallax. But there is no parallax in the stars. It's not noticeable by the human eye. It's detectable by equipment, but it's not. The human eye can't decipher that. It has nothing to do with what you're talking about.
Sorry, I was messaging a journalist. Anyway, about rescheduling something. Okay, so I was going to also put on some Narco Longo. I know that I'm already over an hour again. Oh, my goodness. But, yeah, I wanted to watch that with everyone. But then I just put out so many other... And now it's not coming up. Why does it do that? Maybe if I press it again. Yeah, now it comes up. That's so weird. Okay, so this is Jekyll Island Uncovered, Titanic, Indians, Child Sacrifice, and the Federal Reserve. I highly recommend people subscribe to his channel. I don't agree with everything he says either, but he's definitely, like, the only real thing that we disagree on is veganism. Like, I'm a protein eater, meat eater, and there are certain things that he says that scientifically and religiously speaking I don't agree with, but everything else, this guy's a friggin' genius. And again, I could be wrong too. I'm not, but I've done a lot of research as well. Right back.
In 1910, a group of the richest men in the world took part in a secret meeting at Jekyll Island, Georgia, just across the Florida border. The occasion for this clandestine gathering was the conception of the Federal Reserve banking system as a direct remedy to the Panic of 1907, the first worldwide financial crisis of the 20th century. Instead of enhancing the stability of American banking, as these men pretended it would, the Federal Reserve would instead cast the entire Earth into multiple world wars and an even more terrible financial crisis, the Great Depression of 1929. However, with the signing of the Federal Reserve Act in 1913, the men involved in that secret meeting at Jekyll Island guaranteed the fortunes of their respective families and business partners for generations to come. As a direct result of this legislation, a majority of humanity is today fiscally enslaved by an international cult of banking elite. In 1994, American author, filmmaker, and Army veteran G. Edward Griffin published The Creature from Jekyll Island, which uncovered the secrecy and motives behind that infamous meeting at the Jekyll Island clubhouse. Although the book is wonderfully written and meticulously researched, it failed to consider the unique Native American history of Southeast Georgia and how ancient Indian magic may have fostered such a despicable deed. It would not be until American preacher and Christian mystic Timothy Bence gave a telephone interview around 2012 about a trip to Jekyll Island just before the 2007 financial collapse that a more insidious connection between the Federal Reserve and ritualistic human sacrifice was brought to light. Bence told of how an unusually tall tribe of Indians, known as the Timucua, native to the area, sacrificed their firstborn children in a nearly identical manner to the Canaanites from the Old Testament, going as far as to reveal that a cottage on the island, once owned by John D. Rockefeller, one of the wealthiest men in the world, had been built on top of the very spot where a sacrificial altar once stood. Although these stories have been touched on by others, I do not believe any have done it the justice it deserves. I found most of these videos to be preoccupied with Hollywood fairy tales, lazily edited, and in one case, they had actually selectively censored much of Tim Bence's interview, leaving out vital connections to Israel's historical record of usury and blood sacrifice, along with almost all mentions of Bence's religious inspiration for exposing Jekyll Island in the way that he did. These videos were also lacking in an intimate knowledge of the Florida-Georgia coastline and its native peoples. And on my channel, you can rest assured that you will never see a misleading AI-generated thumbnail or hear an AI-generated script. In light of these shortcomings, my girlfriend and I set out to uncover the forbidden history of Jekyll Island, Georgia, and to verify the story of Timothy Bence by actually going there ourselves. With God's good graces, much prayer and protection in the form of cigar and marijuana smoke, we ventured into what some would consider the most evil place on earth. Despite attempts by some government officials to obstruct the truth from us, we met exactly who we needed to speak with and were granted access to every place that we needed to see, even the restricted ones, all of which we captured with audio and video recording. Join us as we uncover the Rockefeller family, J.P. Morgan, the sinking of the Titanic, real-life giants, Indian mounds, golf, occult secret societies, and a few suspicious technological innovations as they relate to the hidden history of Florida and Georgia. This video is lengthy and information-dense, so make sure to kick back, spark up, and pour yourself a little liquid sunshine while you're at it. The views expressed in this video do not necessarily reflect my own. Now enjoy.
Welcome to Florida, baby.
Introducing Dr. Narco Longo.
Part 1. A History of Jekyll Island. Jekyll Island is an island on the Atlantic coast of southeast Georgia, in Glynn County, located only 30 miles north of the Florida border. According to the New Georgia Encyclopedia, the 5,700-acre barrier island is fronted by Jekyll Creek and salt marsh on the western side, and defined by its beach and the Atlantic Ocean on the eastern side. The natural environment of Jekyll Island is a magnolia, live oak forest canopy, with a forest floor dominated by palmetto and scrub oak. Mammals found on the island include white-tailed deer, raccoons, rabbits, and squirrels. The tidal creeks and streams of the salt marsh provide a variety of resources, including seasonal fish and shellfish. The indigenous people who inhabited the area when Europeans first arrived were the Timucua and Guale tribes. Keep these tribes in mind, as we will be discussing them in depth further on. French Huguenots led by Jean Ribault are the first Europeans to have attempted an official settlement on Jekyll around 1564, as they colonized what was then known as La Florida. But the Spanish may have landed on the island as early as 1510, giving it the name La Isla de Balenas, meaning Island of Whales, while the French called it Ile de la Somme. Now we come to the naming of Jekyll Island. In 1733, after founding the province of Georgia for England, General James Oglethorpe named Jekyll Island in honor of his friend, Sir Joseph Jekyll, a British barrister, judge, and high-ranking Whig politician who sat in the English and British House of Commons for 40 years, from 1697 to 1738. Bearing this name, it would seem Jekyll Island was destined for a future of finance, as Joseph was a wealthy financier himself. He was instrumental in convincing the House of Commons to fund the colony of Georgia. Never before had Britain directly supplied a colony with government funds. Joseph would also personally contribute $600 to the colony, which was quite a bit of money in those days. Interestingly, around 1740, Jekyll Island saw the creation of Georgia's first ever alcoholic brewery. In 1792, Christophe du Bignon, a Frenchman fleeing the French Revolution, purchased a significant parcel in Jekyll. The island was then confiscated by Great Britain after its then owner, John Martin, was accused of treason. Although it would fall into the hands of Americans, the War of 1812 saw British military raids against the island. When a ship known as the Wanderer docked at Jekyll Island in 1858, its human cargo became one of the last known shipments of blacks sold into American slavery. After the Civil War, Jekyll Island would quickly become a favored retreat for many of the world's wealthiest families. In 1886, the island was purchased by the Jekyll Island Club, a turn-of-the-century vacation resort patronized by America's leading families. By 1904, Munsey's magazine had deemed Jekyll Island, quote, the richest, the most exclusive, the most inaccessible club in the world, end quote. These men and women came to fish, swim, golf, hunt, shoot skeet, sail, and ride horses, and as we will see shortly, to conduct their secretive meetings in absolute privacy. It was common for these billionaires, in today's money, to construct or purchase a...
Sorry, I'm back. I'm looking at Rumble comments again. Hilarious. And yeah, it seems that that Zach is not well liked by anyone.
small home on the island, in addition to being a member of the island's exclusive club. Let
In
us
this
give a
community.
brief description
That's what I meant to
for
say.
some of the cottages, as to demonstrate the degree of wealth which was attracted to Jekyll Island at the turn of the century. Dubignon Cottage was built in 1884 by John Eugene Dubignon, the fourth-generation owner of the island itself. Hollyburn Cottage was built in 1890 by founding club member Charles Stewart Maurice, a successful American bridge designer. The cottage known as the Infirmary was built in 1890 for the youngest founding member of the Jekyll Island Club, Walter Furness, of the architectural firm Furness, Evans and Company. Indian Mound Cottage was originally constructed in 1892 for shoe magnate and philanthropist Gordon Mackay, but would later be purchased by William Rockefeller Jr. in 1905. William's older brother, John Davison Rockefeller, the principal founder of Standard Oil, remodeled the house in 1910. The name of the cottage comes from the fact that it was erected in the footprint of an ancient Indian burial mound or shell midden. Make sure to keep that in mind. Moss Cottage was built for William Struthers, Jr. in 1896, but the identity of the original architect has not officially been determined. Interestingly, Struthers owned one of the largest marble firms in the country, and his family is said to have contributed to the construction of Philadelphia's Second Bank of the United States, among other notable buildings. The building known as the San Souci was one of America's very first condominiums, being erected on Jekyll in 1896 by Henry Hyde, the owner of the largest life insurance company in America at the time.
The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is an 1886 Gothic novella by Scottish author Robert Louis Stevenson. It follows Gabriel John Utterson, a London-based legal practitioner who investigates a series of strange occurrences between his old friend, Dr. Henry Jekyll, and a murderous criminal named Edward Hyde. In popular culture, the term Jekyll and Hyde is used in reference to a person or thing that alternately displays two different sides to their character or nature. The phrase Jekyll and Hyde employs a literary reference to describe a stock market that appears to have a split personality, mixing good and bad character traits. Jekyll represents the good in a market. It is benign, predictable, and conducive to trading gains.
A small group of the club's founding members, including J.P. Morgan, were among the building's original residents. Mistletoe Cottage was designed by former architect Charles Alling Gifford around 1897, and would go on to be purchased by American Congressman Henry Kirk Porter. Goodyear Cottage was built by famed architects Carrere and Hastings in 1906 for the lumber baron Frank Henry Goodyear, whose family would go on to dominate the rubber tire industry and to plaster their name on America's few remaining airships. As one can imagine.
Okay, so you know what? Maybe I'm gonna stop sharing because I'm already an hour in and stuff like that. I want to show, just because if Zachary Hubbard looks at this, because you know he is a bit of a troll, and so I'm just gonna make sure I'm thorough, and I'm just gonna show you. So when you look at things that NASA has put out before, there's information that if someone like Zach was to look at information, he would find something like this and not know how to go beyond that. And so for someone like myself, you go to the Wayback Machine and you have to keep on pushing or going to archive data and carry on with looking for things. So I went from seeing that screen to something that I've already saved and had before, but still, again, people, it's very, very hard to get information. And so what I was trying to pull up was NASA reference publication 1207. I've shared this before, but it's in case he's watching. August 1988, derivation and definition of a linear aircraft model by these people. Research it yourself, Zach. All of these people, it's official, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, Scientific and Technical Information Division. They don't want us to see it. It was archived, page not found, but I found it. And you go to the summary. This report documents the derivation and definition of a linear aircraft model for a rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth. The derivation makes no assumptions of a release of reference trajectory or vehicle symmetry. The linear system equations are derived and evaluated along a general trajectory and include both aircraft dynamics and observation variables. So let's see if I can control F to do a search. And when I search flat, oh, look, nothing comes up, despite that I see it at least here. And so this is another thing as well that's it's hard in searches because you have to literally read everything. And this is one example. There's multiple others out there. And so Zach, I have demonstrated that you have embarrassed yourself when you've been live with what you're calling science. So not only Jeran has embarrassed you and proven you wrong with your pseudoscience, but it didn't even make sense, and you didn't offer any proof either, by the way. And so that was from Jeran a few years ago. And then yesterday you had the nerve to still troll flat earthers, despite the fact that you were still saying nonsensical things about what you believe to be like your version of the globe. So you're not even looking at the greats and actually doing your own reading regarding Einstein's theories and Copernicus and Pythagoras or any. You're doing none of that. You're not looking at at Boyle's law, the laws the laws of physics. You haven't shown any government data to back up your claim. So you're showing so you haven't pulled anything up once that I've seen. And so I'm sharing. So I'm debunking your claims easily. I've shown the actual works from the people that you guys are getting your conclusions from. So Copernicus, Einstein, and Hawking's today is what I shared to you that I've reviewed myself, and also was able to debunk multiple theories that they suggested. And again, they weren't committed to theories either. And some of these theories, by the way, they've also went back and admitted were incorrect later on. And so again, not even tracking that stuff. I've shown the Earth curve calculation models and how that's easily debunked. Pythagoras' version, I shared that with people. And so again, and that's what I'm debunking, like these globe claims based on who they're quoting. They're referencing these people and they're laughing at us and they're not even understanding why we're bringing this stuff up to begin with. So again, he's like Jeran and me, like our level of intellect here, and Zach down here. And I mean, no offense, but you're proving it time and time again. And last night, it just proved it again. And Jeran's tried to help you. I've tried to help you. And again, it's not to help you because we care about you. Well, I mean, I'm sure, like I do. I wish you well, but it's because you're being a troll and you're ruining the truther community for everyone with what you're doing. You're poisoning the well, and you're wrong. and you've shown nothing to back up your fucking silly claims. So even when you were talking about the speed of the sun or whatever, like what did you pull up? You pulled up nothing. So yeah, so I've shown dissertations by the greats and debunked. And do you have any of that work saved on your desktop? Probably not. But again, I pulled that up right from the top of my head. Government data, scientific, and then also explaining that there's no physical geographic horizon that would be required in order to even like prove or assume that there would be some kind of a globular spherical shape. You'd have to have that downward slope. And they're claiming that it's at 3 miles, it would be 6 feet of curvature. Again, this is nonsensical when you look at it, and it's been debunked easily, repeatedly. So yeah, on that note, I'm going to leave it at that. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.